It was the empire's golden age. But in the hills of Judea, beneath Roman banners and marble roads, a fire was about to rise. A fire of vengeance, a fire of faith, and it would become the deadliest rebellion Rome had ever seen. This is the forgotten war of Bar Kokhba. The year was 130 AD. Hadrian, now styled restorer of the world, walked among the ruins of Jerusalem. The holy city Rome had crushed decades earlier, but Hadrian wasn't here to rebuild. He was here to erase. On that sacred ground, where the Jewish temple once stood, Hadrian ordered a new city, Aelia Capitolina, a Roman colony, and at its heart, a temple not to the God of Israel, but to Jupiter. For the Jewish people, it was more than an insult. It was sacrilege, a declaration that their identity, their faith, their very existence was now illegal. Then came another blow. Circumcision, a core commandment of Jewish life, was banned across the empire. Hadrian called it a barbaric mutilation. To the Jews, it was their covenant with God. Anger boiled into fury, and then, from the shadows, a leader emerged. A man named Simon, but not just Simon. Simon Bar Kokhba, son of the star. To his followers, he was the Messiah foretold in ancient prophecy. To the Romans, he was a ghost they couldn't catch, a phantom slipping between mountain strongholds and desert caves. And he was about to make Judea burn. Bar Kokhba didn't just fight, he prepared. His forces were well-trained, disciplined, and fanatically loyal. Roman soldiers who once mocked Judean resistance now feared the terrain, the traps, and the tenacity of these desert rebels. Within weeks, entire Roman outposts vanished, garrisons wiped out, roads blocked. Hadrian's legions were bleeding. By 132 AD, Bar Kokhba's rebellion had seized dozens of fortified cities and caves. They minted their own coins, established their own administration, even banned Gentile access to their territory. Judea was free again. For a moment, it felt like a new kingdom had been born. But Rome was never merciful, and Hadrian, the man of peace, had tasted humiliation. He called in the empire's finest general, Julius Severus. Fresh from crushing rebellions in Britannia and Dacia, the order was simple: erase the rebellion, leave nothing standing. And so, Rome descended on Judea with a vengeance unlike anything it had unleashed before. What came next would leave hundreds of thousands dead, an entire people shattered, and a war so horrifying, Rome tried to erase it from memory. This wasn't just a rebellion, it was a last stand, and soon the Messiah would fall. Judea was ablaze, and now Rome would bring the storm. General Julius Severus, the empire's most ruthless commander, didn't march straight into Bar Kokhba's strongholds. No, he knew better than to fight the rebels on their own ground. Instead, he choked them, city by city, water source by water source. Food lines were cut, trade was severed, Villages that had hidden rebels were leveled without mercy. This was no longer a war. It was a siege of annihilation. Bar Kokhba responded with fury. His guerrilla fighters struck with deadly precision, vanishing into the caves of Beit Gavrin, the tunnels of Herodium, and the deadly ridges of Wadi Murabat. Roman patrols vanished. Entire units were swallowed by the earth, but the noose was tightening. Hadrian didn't report the rebellion's progress to the Senate for over 2 years, an eerie silence in an age when Roman victories were paraded like theater. Why? Because Rome wasn't winning. Tens of thousands of Roman soldiers lay dead. Legions were shattered. Hadrian's dream of total control was slipping into blood-soaked soil. Then came the final blow. 135 AD, the siege of Betar. Betar was the heart of the rebellion, Bar Kokhba's last great stronghold, and it would become his tomb. The Romans encircled the city. For weeks, they starved it, bombarded it, waited. Inside, Bar Kokhba rallied his people, warriors, priests, women, and children, all prepared to die for freedom. They did. When the walls fell, the slaughter was biblical. Ancient sources claim over 580,000 Jews were killed. Roman soldiers said the blood ran through the streets like a river. Hadrian banned burials. The dead were left to rot under the sun. Even Bar Kokhba's body was never found. His name was struck from records. The title Messiah became a whisper, and the rebellion, Rome's greatest nightmare, was buried in silence. But Hadrian's vengeance wasn't done. He renamed Judea to Syria Palestina, an act meant to sever the land from its Jewish identity forever. Jerusalem became Aelia Capitolina, a Roman city where Jews were banned on pain of death. Synagogues were destroyed, scrolls were burned, priests were executed, and Judaism itself was outlawed in the land where it was born. Rome had won. But what it destroyed echoed far beyond the ashes. A faith shattered, a people scattered, and an emperor who called it peace. Simon Bar Kokhba, the son of the star, had risen like a flame. But in the end, he became a shadow. The smoke cleared, the blood dried, and the land was silent. But the silence was not peace. It was obliteration. After the fall of Betar, Hadrian unleashed the final phase of his plan, erasure. This wasn't just a military victory. It was a cultural purge. The name Judea was erased from every Roman map. In its place, Syria Palestina, a deliberate attempt to sever the Jewish identity from its land by invoking the ancient enemies of Israel, the Philistines. Jerusalem, gone. In its place, Aelia Capitolina, a Roman city built over sacred ashes. A statue of Jupiter stood where the Second Temple had once reached toward heaven. And Jews, banned from entering under penalty of death, even to mourn. Hadrian's plan was ruthless and effective. With the Jewish heartland crushed, the survivors fled to Babylon, to Egypt, to distant corners of the empire. The Jewish diaspora, the global scattering, began in full. A once centralized nation was now a people without a homeland. But Hadrian was not triumphant. He returned to Rome not in celebration, but in silence. He refused a triumph parade, the honor granted to emperors after major victories. Why? Some say he feared how history would judge him. Others say the cost, in Roman blood and honor, was too high. Even the Senate, once cowed, turned cold. Monuments once planned were cancelled. His title father of the nation was denied. Privately, Hadrian began to crumble, haunted by the ghosts of the East and the boy he couldn't save in Egypt. The rebellion he crushed had crushed him too. As for Simon Bar Kokhba, Rome tried to erase his name, but legends endured. In secret gatherings, the elders whispered of a warrior messiah who once made Rome bleed. In scrolls hidden in caves, his letters were found stern, commanding, unshaken. And in later centuries, his name would return, not as a rebel, but as a symbol of resistance, of courage, of what it means to fight, even when defeat is certain. VO reflective. Rome crushed the body, but not the memory, and perhaps that's why history tried to forget this war. Because it wasn't just about conquest. It was about identity, and identity cannot be burned. This was the revolt that Rome buried, the man they tried to erase, and the war that still echoes in the stones of Jerusalem. Remember the name, Bar Kokhba, the Messiah who defied an empire.